Hello guys, and welcome to another ProfileTree video. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Laravel web development. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So for those who don't know, Laravel is an open source PHP web application framework, and it's known for its elegant syntax, expressive design, and developer friendly features. Now it follows the Model View Controller (MVC) architectural pattern and provides a robust set of tools and libraries to build modern, scalable web applications. Now, there's quite a few key features that Laravel includes, and our first one is Eloquent ORM. So ORM meaning Object-Relational Mapping, and Eloquent allows developers to interact with the database using PHP classes and methods, and it makes database operations more intuitive and less cumbersome. Now, this is just a diagram just to further explain what Eloquent ORM is. So we've got our product, we've got our brand, then you will have your product variant and product photo and product type. Now, this would of course occur if you are running an e-commerce website. So it's important to have your product, and then of course you'll have the different you've got your ID, you've got your name, you've got a type ID and a brand ID. Now, why is this important? You pretty much need to have a type ID and a brand ID, as you want to separate your products, and as well as that you want to take into account how much stock you will have on your inventory. So that's very, very important to have. Now you can see where each of the parts are connected to. So it has many and then belongs to, and as you can see, you got your brand and an ID and name. So this is all mainly to do with the database. So you'd mainly, if you are deciding to use MySQL, then this is where you would type all your parts into. So the next one is Blade Templating Engine. Now Laravel uses the Blade templating engine, and it provides a simple but yet powerful syntax for creating dynamic views. Blade templates allow developers to write clean and readable code, and it also provides features like template inheritance and of course control structures. So we've got a little bit more information on Blade templates on Laravel itself. So we've got, of course, our introduction, and we can see some of the Blade directives. So we've got the if statements, so how you would mainly do your coding for it anyway. So of course, this is how we would use if statements. So you've got if, else if, and then end if for the last one, or you would have else if and then else and then end if. But Blade will provide an at unless directive, so that completely eliminates the 7-line code and converts it to 3. So not only are you reducing the actual storage, so you're reducing the amount that you're using, you're actually writing cleaner code as well. And you also have the option to copy this. So if you are coding up on VS Code or any similar platform, you're able to just go to their the actual Blade templates and have a look at what they have to offer, as in what sort of code that they would expect you to use using Blade. Now it talks more into detail about the other stuff there. So you've got supercharging Blade with Livewire, so just a little bit more information on it, and then you've got some stuff for HTML entity encoding as well, and there's a couple of ways to actually do the coding. So we've got one here. So the @ symbol may also be used to escape Blade directives. So that's one reason for it. So if you don't want to include Blade when you're doing some PHP code, then you can pretty much do this. And then of course you can get more information on blade directives here, and there's a couple of the authentication directives as well, environment directives, and section directives. So pretty much a few pieces of code that can help construct your web application. So I'd highly recommend to actually check the documentation that they have to offer. So this is the Artisan console, or the command line tool. Now, Laravel, of course, includes the Artisan, and this is a command line tool that streamlines various development tasks. So with Artisan, developers can generate boilerplate code, and they can also run migrations and manage database seeding, and they can also perform other routine tasks quickly and efficiently. So this is more or less what it will look like on your command prompt. So you can see that it's Laravel Artisan PHP Artisan, so that's what it's tapped into. And of course you've got a couple of options there. So that's pretty much just it in a nutshell. Again, as I mentioned, you can run migrations, you can manage database seeding, and of course do other routine tasks fairly quickly. Now you've got another section here for routing. So Laravel provides a flexible and expressive routing system, and it allows developers to define web and API routes using a straightforward syntax. Now this makes it easy to handle incoming HTTP requests, and you'll be able to map them to the corresponding controller methods. So there's a couple of routes, as you can see. So route view, welcome, welcome. So it's just mainly if you're passing through maybe some information that's sensitive, well, not really sensitive, but just user information. So if you're logging in as a user, and of course you've got your name, or you've got an ID, anything like that, it'll just pop up on any sort of screen just to verify that. So that's what the sort of routes will be, and you would use the route view method, and that'll just do the redirect, and of course it'll come up as name, and then the name will be Taylor. So it all involves the database as well, and of course we've got the route lists here, and you've got your path to the API, and accept vendor and only vendor. So that's a couple of the different routing lists, as you can see. Now there's actual code that you can copy here with route parameters. So you've got route and then user ID function and then string ID, and then it'll come back for the user. And so quite a couple of useful code there, depending what sort of website or web application you're trying to create. Then of course it goes into the different details there. So there's actually a couple of different groups there in terms of routing. So you've got your route groups, which you actually have basic route grouping, and this sort of method would accept an array of options, and this would be like middleware, namespaces, you've got prefixes, and pretty much more. I'll show an example on screen now. So this is more or less what an example would look like if you have it on a bit of code. So we've got it on an if statement. So normally it would be like route : group, and then your prefix, and then that'll be your admin, and then that'll be your function, and you would then have it not really redirect, but route to dashboard, and then maybe an admin controller at dashboard, something like that, just so you have your different admin routes and user routes. So that's more or less what it looks like, but if it was in code, you would use it as an if statement. So that's how it would look. So here's another example. So this is middleware in route groups, and you can apply middleware to a group of routes using the middleware key in the options array. So you can see that there. And what middleware does is it helps to filter and process incoming requests before they reach the routes handler. So that would be an example for it. So you'd have your middleware, and of course maybe you would have a profile and then maybe an update, but for here we've got the namespace and the actual group function. So that's what that looks like. And of course, there's multiple ones there, like subdomain routing. You've got route prefixes, name prefixes. What the last one would be is route group with multiple attributes. So you can pretty much combine multiple options in a single route group. So that would use prefixes, middleware, and namespace. So that was more or less what we had viewed earlier on there. So this would mainly be a mixture of it. So then, of course, you would come to the testing. Now, Laravel supports testing out of the box, and it provides convenient methods for writing unit tests as well. And it also features tests to ensure application stability and functionality. So there's a couple of different tests that you can cover. There's running tests in parallel, reporting test coverage, and profiling tests. So that's just mainly how to do it anyway. So it's fairly easy for how it is. So there's just an example of how it would create a test. So PHP artisan make test user test, and then it'll be the unit, and then you've got past and then unit past. So that's pretty much how that looks. And of course, you've got the other provided tests. You've got HTTP test, which we talked about earlier on. You've got console tests, browser tests, database, and mocking as well. So a couple of options there. Now, the installation of Laravel is fairly straightforward. So to start a Laravel project, of course, you need to install Laravel globally on your system, and that is using Composer. So I've just placed it on screen now as to what Composer looks like. So there's a couple of command lines that you can use, as you can see, and what Composer really is, it is a dependency management tool for PHP, and this is a very crucial tool that's used by PHP developers, and it's just to manage and install external libraries, packages, and frameworks in their projects. Now, what Composer does is it just simplifies the process of handling project dependencies and ensures that all the required components are easily available and up to date. So that's what you would use Composer for. Now, with a mixture of Composer, if you are trying to run Apache as well, or if you're running MySQL, then you would want to run the likes of an XAMPP control panel, and this is where you'll be able to start Apache and MySQL. That's basically just to run the website, and of course you need a SQL database to run a website. So anyway, getting to the install, I would recommend to actually get Composer first. So go onto your web browser and search up for Composer. And it's the very first one at the top anyway. Well, I'm using Microsoft Bing, but of course, most of you guys will use Google. So that's pretty much how Composer is downloaded. Just follow these steps there. You need the Composer setup. And of course, that's how to execute the actual command line anyway. And once you've done that and you've installed Composer, you want to now head to your actual command prompt. So once Composer is installed, you can verify by just typing in Composer, and you can see that everything is there. You'll see the latest version, Composer version 2.5.8. And you can see when it's been downloaded as well. So anyway, what we'll do now is you can create a project through the command prompt. So all you would need to do is Composer, then create a project. So create project and Laravel, and then /Laravel. And then, of course, this is where you would put your project name. So I'll just put in project name. But realistically, depending on what you want is web app, something like that. So web application, or the name of the web application. So just make sure you replace project name. That'll go ahead and create a Laravel or a project for Laravel. You can see that it's downloading Laravel version 10. 2.5, and it's installing Laravel, so it's extracting everything. So just takes a little while. You can see that everything's working its magic. and all the PHP is downloading as well. So we've got our progress bar here at the bottom. So once that reaches 100%, that's pretty much you golden. But while you wait for the installation, of course, Composer will download all the required files and set up the Laravel project for you. And it all really depends on the internet speed and connection and the system. So it may take a few minutes just to complete the process. So once this has finished installing and downloading, we're going to go ahead and navigate to the project folder, again using the terminal or command prompt. So whatever one you have. If you have Mac OS, then you have your terminal, and then if you have the desktop version, you will have the command prompt. So we'll go ahead and wait for this to fully download and install, and we'll go ahead and skip ahead once it's finished. So some of the important stuff's here. So you can see 52 package suggestions were added by new dependencies. So use Composer suggest if we want to see some of the details. Laravel. So that's pretty much it. That's all installed. So now all you need to do here is cd into the project name. So our project name, if we scroll up, should have been my app or web app, sorry. So web app. So we'll scroll back down and we'll say web app. So we've cd'd into the web app. Now to start the Laravel development server, we need to run this following command, which is php artisan and then serve, and then just enter that. So that is pretty much it. Now you will see this message. So the development server is on http ://127.0.0.1.8000. So that's what it means. It's always going to mean that. So that means that your Laravel application is running and you can access it using the provided URL in your web browser. So if we go ahead and copy and paste this, we'll do this now. So I entered that on the actual search bar on the very top. You can see that we've got our documentation, Laracast, Laravel News, and Vibrant Ecosystems, just things like that. So there you are. That means that you've just successfully downloaded and installed Laravel. So you can pretty much build your web application using this framework. And if you want to learn more about it, then you can look at the official document, which we were looking at earlier on. So just in case the first step didn't work for you, which is the Composer, and then create project Laravel, which is example app or new project or whatever you've put down, or web app, which we've done. You may want to consider trying to globally install it. So Composer Global require Laravel installer and then Laravel new, which is the name of your application, and then that's when you could do the cd example app php artisan serve. So that's pretty much how to do it. Now, there's some basic information as well. So if you do want to hit the actual code for it, so you can see that we can actually stop the server if we want to. So if we just do that, and then if we go into the code, you can go ahead and do so. That just opens up your visual code or whatever you have it linked to. So that's one thing you may want to download as well, which is visual code. You can see that all our packages in here, we've got composer.json, we've got package.json as well, PHP unit, and bootstrap as well. So there's a PHP for it. So it's all pretty much there for you. Now, this is where you would want to actually hit for coding. So you've got your console there as well. HTTP. You can see that this is what we've talked about earlier on, which is the middleware. You've got your controllers as well, and you've got your models, and that's pretty much whereabouts you can code. Now there's the artisan, so not much to look there. But yes, this is more or less where you can code up everything that you need. And when you're happy again, all you would need to do is just to double check everything, go ahead and do PHP artisan serve. Then that'll run the server again, and you'll be able to check your background or what progress you've made on the site. Now, Laravel also provides documentation anyway. So as you can see here, I'll actually just change the screen sizing. So that's a little bit better now. So we could see for the front end, it'll just talk about routing, validation, caching, queues, and file storage as well. couple of parts when you are using PHP. That's how it would more or less look. So of course, hello to the username, and then as mentioned before, it does use Blade, so that just all cuts down your code. So I mentioned that earlier on. But there you have it, guys. That is pretty much Laravel in a nutshell. Now work away at it. Try it out. See what you guys think about the framework. See if it's the best suited web development tool to use. Now, there's a lot more to explore from what I've shown. Of course, you'll be able to see semantic versioning. You've got global and project level composer as well, which we've looked at earlier on. You've got dependency resolution, and of course you can update and remove packages at your own will. But anyways, guys, if you found the video informative and helpful, please do leave us a comment in the comment section below. But other than that, I'll see you guys for the next video. Thank you very much for watching.